They say life doesn't come with an instruction manual. I beg to differ. There is a place at the very center of our being that knows what is right, what is wrong, how to act, how to respond, what to express. There is a knowing inside of us. And this knowing is cloaked in our conceptual mind, in the mind that tries to understand and quantify and name this essence. Well, unfortunate for that cognitive, dualistic mind, our essence is paradoxical. It's infinite. It's all-knowing. It is God. And everything outside of it is an expression of the activity of that essence, of that self. So when it comes to finding your way through life, making decisions, expressing yourself, this isn't something we can necessarily cognize and put down on a spreadsheet and figure out. Ultimately, it's going to come down to how we feel about it, what we value, what excites us. And these things aren't mental functions. They're an essence of our personality and our character in this life. And so I wanted to start this series of social media as a spiritual practice off with what I consider to be a fundamental step or practice or skill to develop in order to cultivate more self-awareness. And that is learning to tap in with your own navigation system. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. And I believe a feeling is worth 1,000 thoughts. Thoughts and words are very useful things, but they're limited. They never fully express the essence of the idea we're bringing our attention to. Like Bruce Lee's famous quote, "Don't get caught staring at the finger. It's like a finger pointing to the moon. If you get caught staring at the finger, you'll miss all that heavenly glory." The word is just a sign. It's like a clothing encapsulating an idea. It is not the idea. If we get lost in the cognitive aspect of our languaging, when we're really trying to understand the essence of something, we'll fail. So we're learning to get in touch with our feeling, that knowing and that intuition within us. And ultimately, I believe that is what meditation is. Now, there's all sorts of different forms meditation could take on, but the most direct and simple is a sitting meditation where we are bringing our awareness, our attention back to ourself. And there's a diversity of things you could pay attention to. But I will just want to share some of my favorite, or the ones that work best for me. The visceral, sensorial feelings of our body. Bringing our attention here now to how we feel physically, to what we hear, to our breath. All of these things are in the present moment. And that's the place that we come to know, that we come to meet that intuition. When we have a question, when we are trying to make a decision, we don't make it based on the past or on the future. All of that is known. All of that is accounted for in our feeling right now. So we bring our attention to how we feel. We quiet the mind, and all of the attention is going towards that experience of feeling. And then we have the question. We have the intention or the reason why we're feeling. In meditation, perhaps it's just to learn to listen, to develop our ability to feel. So we're listening and feeling. Thoughts will arise. We will wander off. And I see thoughts as training wheels. We can use certain thoughts to redirect us back to our feeling, to our present moment embodiment. So there are the physical feelings, right? Taste, touch, smell, hearing, and sight. But there's the sixth sense, which is that emotional, intuitive sense. How do we feel emotionally when we come to this thought? What images does that conjure in our mind? A lot of this stuff, all of this stuff is happening all the time behind the scenes. And there's so much of it we're not even aware of, and we're just reacting to. We're acting from without ever questioning or looking more closely at the origin of those feelings, at the detail of those visions. So I highly recommend that we have our own personal practice where we learn to tune in and cultivate our felt sense of awareness. And it's ultimately this felt sense that we want to be in touch with when we are expressing ourselves. So once we've learned to listen to ourselves, can we listen as we express, as we live in the world, as opposed to try to deduce and understand and cognize these ideas in order to take an action? All of that can happen in an instant within our intuitive body. They say the heart sends twice as much information to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. This is the real control center. This one already knows everything this thing knows. This one receives more new information from your essence, your soul, you could say. This is a very useful tool for helping to capture, concretize, communicate ideas that we receive through here. But this can't think of anything new. It can only combine old ideas and make mixes of old ideas, but there's no brand new, fresh inspiration that comes from the mind. So having a consistent time that you practice every day where we sit, we close our eyes, or we have our eyes fixated on a single point, and we pay attention to our breath, how we feel, both physically, touch-wise, and emotionally. And we can use mantra, as I said, like a training wheel, like training wheels. If you have any thoughts at all, have them be thoughts that bring you back to your sensory experience, to your present moment experience of being, like, say, breath, feel, breathing. And those are two of my favorite words. Your breath is the bridge, and your feeling is a present moment experience. And we cultivate and strengthen those connections. And then we can live in that expression of how we feel and not get caught in the loops of the mind or the stress of the past or the fear of the future. Ultimately, I think we're afraid to actually trust our intuition. And maybe that's what tomorrow's video will be on. It's that we fear what we will do if we just allow ourselves to act spontaneously. We fear we're gonna say something wrong. And we don't have trust in our intuitive expression. And so we regulate it through our mind, and this stifles our expression. So we can't comprehend the awesomeness of what we are. It's beyond comprehension. But we can allow it. We can be it. We can dance with it. But you just can never quantify it. And that's the funny thing about where we are right now, obviously in a logically dominated society, masculine dominated, science, cognitive thought, quantification. I'm going to figure out what God's made out of, what matter's made of. And we keep finding more and more paradoxical realities of nature's made of space and tiny vibrating particles that are dimensionless, you know? And those are ultimately thoughts. Those are feelings. Those are an expression of the mind of God. So, step one, hone your navigation system. Really cultivate your ability to feel, touch, get in touch with that feeling, and learn to live from there, to express from there honestly, without inhibition, without the mind getting in the way and restricting what wants to be expressed. It's like a continuous relief. This exclamation, allowing that pressure, that urge out. It's like higher and higher degrees of freedom when we are living in that and saying yes and supporting what wants to emerge from us. All right, that's this morning's rant. Love you guys so much. 2 days in, let's keep it going. Any questions, feedback, ideas really helps me keep the conversation going. So it's not just me talking to myself. All right. Love you guys so much. Stoked for the future. See you soon.